Yes, colleagues, let us start. We have a tight schedule today, lots of things to show and discuss, so let's not waste more time. People can still join us, of course. Yes, good morning, good day, everyone, to you colleagues. Good to see so many of you, also quite a few familiar faces. Yes, my name, and many of you probably know me already. My name is Susanne Konrad, and I'm a project officer at the UNIP Copenhagen Climate Center, working for the CBGSP project, so the Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency Global Support Program, under which the Climate Transparency Platform has been developed. And I'm joined here today by other colleagues, Alejandro Regatero. He will do the main part of the webinar and show you later how to update your pages, how to navigate the dashboard and the platform, basically. And also, we have a few other colleagues, Katsiu Kumalo, Transparency Officer in the project, who also works closely on the platform, and also the global coordinator, Fatima Zarata Ibi, is here. So we all here for this webinar. And we're very happy about this webinar for content editors on the platform. As you probably know, we've launched the platform back in June during the SBs, and we're still doing further refinements and developments, but now it's really about populating the platform with all the information related to climate transparency and really making it a useful place for everyone in the climate transparency community. So it's really about making it come alive now and really include information. So it's not a boring platform, but a platform that is up to date and has the latest information about climate transparency. So this is why we are having the webinar today for content editors in the platform. So the country focal points of the different countries, as well as project focal points. We also have agency focal points, but these are not the focus of this webinar. So we are focusing on the country focal points and project focal points. And they are really the key stakeholders on the platform and have great responsibility in keeping the platform updated. And the aim of this webinar is really to show you how you actually do all these updates on the platform, how you navigate it. And Alejandro will show you later in detail how to do it. And he also has prepared some exercises. So it's going to be a bit more hands-on for you and hopefully useful for your further work in the platform. And before I will tell you a bit more about the different user roles and a bit of background on the platform, I would like to do a very short Mentimeter just to get us activated today and also to get some insights for us. So let me quickly share my screen so we can go to the Mentimeter. Just a second, colleagues. I think it's coming. Yes, so here on the screen you see the instruction how to connect. So please go to menti.com and enter the code. Or if you have your phone ready, you can also use the QR code here. I'll just give you a second to go to Menti. Okay, then let's hope that people are on and have found the right survey. Yes, so just an overview of from where you're joining us today. This webinar covers a big region of Africa, Eurasia, Central Asia, the Caucasus, and MENA. So it would just be nice to see from where the colleagues are joining today. So we have one from the Middle East, one from Eurasia, Western Africa, Southern Africa. Yes, thank you so much for your responses, and good to see you all. It's a widespread of colleagues. Just 1 more second. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Have you already registered on the new climate transparency platform? And I see there are already quite a few answers. It's good to see there are many that are already registered, and it's not a problem if you are not registered yet. You can do that after the webinar or during the webinar. This is no problem, of course. You can register at any time. If you have issues with the registration, you can always reach out to us. But it's good to see that there are quite many already registered. Thanks a lot for your responses. And then one last slide here for the beginning. Yes, so what is your user role on the platform? So this is really for us to see who is in the webinar, which user roles are we having here today. We see there are quite many project managers. That's good to see. Project focal points. That's this webinar will be really useful for you. We also have 2 country focal points. So that will also cover the session. 1 agency focal point even. So that's good. We won't go into too much detail of the agency focal point, but we will have a dedicated webinar on the agency focal points later. We also have other users and 1 person that does not know, but that's totally fine. It's we understand it's difficult to navigate the different user roles in the platform. Yeah. So thank you so much for your responses. This is very useful also for us as insights. So I will stop sharing the screen now. Just a second. And then we can go back to the slides and just a bit of background information before we go into the actual meat of the webinar, basically. So just a very short background on the user roles in the platform. So just to remind ourselves what the objective of the platform is, it's really to provide a one-stop shop for transparency, where all information related to climate transparency is collected in one place instead of having to navigate multiple websites and platforms. Currently, things are spread out over the UNFCCC page, the GEF page, the pages of the various agencies, and it's quite a maze to navigate the information. And the idea with this platform is really to gather it all in one place and to provide better access to knowledge, information, to climate transparency. So it becomes really a knowledge clearinghouse and a place to exchange for climate transparency. And you see here also in the picture the different elements that we have included in the platform. So like all climate transparency projects, country profiles, with all information related to transparency in each country, transparency resources which are covered in the Knowledge Center, and many other things that you will also see and can explore on the platform. And what we really want to highlight here is that the platform is a platform for and by the climate transparency community. So everyone in the climate transparency community, and especially content editors, have an important part to play in making this a useful place for everyone and keep the information updated and keep the platform alive, essentially. Because we here in Copenhagen, we cannot know everything that's going on in your country, in your project. So we really call on you to engage, to make it your space and keep it updated and make it useful for everyone else who wants to see what your country is doing, what your project is doing, and so on. So we really see it as a shared responsibility among all, and we're really looking forward to building this together with you. And we're always also happy to hear feedback, suggestions, and also please always feel free to reach out to us if you have any issues uploading information, registering, or any other issues. So we always stand ready to support and make it work for you. Yes, so on the next slide, yes, you see we have different users on the climate transparency platform. We have a number of content editors. So these are the editors or users that can edit certain pages. And the one that I highlighted here, the 2 blue boxes, are basically the user roles that we are focusing on today, which are the country focal points and the project focal points. We also have agency focal points that we don't focus so much on today. And alongside these content editors, we also have so-called non-editors, so other users or network users. They cannot edit content, but they can still engage in the platform and use the multiple forums and the communities of practice. So every user is welcome. Every user has a role to play. And now zooming in a bit on the two user roles that we are focusing on today. So the country focal points that I already mentioned. So in the platform, we actually have several country focal points for each country. So it's different country focal points. We have, of course, the UNFCCC focal point. We have the national climate and gender focal point to the UNFCCC, and the GEF focal point. So these are the 3 official focal points. But in addition to that, we also have nominated focal points under the CBGSP project, which includes like a general project focal point, which we call country focal point in this this case, as well as a number of thematic focal points. And one person can also assume several roles in these areas. But you can see here, for instance, in the example of Kenya, you can see the whole list of focal points. And these focal points have the right or the editing rights to edit the profile of Kenya. So this is the user role of the country focal point comes with the editing right of editing the country profile basically. And then if we go to the other user role that we are focusing on today is the project manager and the project focal points. So we have two different types of projects. That are very similar. So we have the project focal points for CBIT projects. Here, for instance, you see an example of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the project focal point would usually be displayed in the project details. So this can be added later by the project manager to add himself as a focal point. And then we also have the enabling activities. There's a slight difference between CBIT projects and JEF enabling activities in that CBIT projects are a bit more detailed, they have a bit more indicators and focus tracking, but they are very similar. And here you see an example of the first BTR project in Georgia. So these project focal points have the editing right for their respective project pages, basically. And yeah, now I've talked about the editing rights, but rights also come always with responsibilities, and this is what we really want to highlight today, is also that as a country focal point or as a project focal point, you have also editing responsibility in a good sense, so to say. So we really would like you to keep the profile as a country focal point, keep the country profile up to date, do regular updates. We suggest at least monthly, or whenever there's a new information coming in. For instance, if your country has just published a new report, so next year if your country manages to publish a BTR, or if there's new national communication, but also other national climate documents and climate documents to the UNFCCC. So if you submit an updated NDC, or you have just published your first SNAP, this can all be featured in the country profile. And there's also a section for other climate documents that you see relevant, the adaptation strategy or a long-term strategy of some sort that is not submitted to the UNFCCC that can also be featured there. And of course, if there's a change of country focal points, this should also be updated. And lastly, also very important, the country news and events. If you go back there, country news and events. So if there's a big workshop happening in your country, I don't know, a launch of your LT-LEDs, or there's a new CBIT project launched or something, this can be uploaded as news or events in your country, and it will be highlighted and featured in the country profile. And at the same time, there's also a possibility to have opportunities, like vacancies, for instance, for a CBIT project manager, other open positions that your country is looking for to fill in the area of climate and transparency. And it's very similar for the project focal points, just the focus is on the project page. We also ask you to keep it updated. On a monthly basis to go back to your project page, or whenever there's a change happening. If there's new project details, if there's a new project focal points, if you have a new project document, like a stakeholder workshop or another form of report, some TORs, etc., that can all be uploaded on other project documents. And then we have a few elements that are relevant for CBIT projects regarding their project indicators and also tracking progress of project implementation. So these two things are relevant for CBIT. And similar to the country profile, there's a possibility to upload project news and events. If you've launched, or you have like an inception workshop for CBIT, or a big stakeholder workshop or something, this can also be uploaded here and show the world basically what is happening in the project. So there's possibility to highlight these things, and also the possibility to upload opportunities. So if you have a call for consultants and that needs to be covered for a certain part of your CBIT project, etc., this can also be featured on the project page and on the platform. So you will have a much wider reach with publishing it on the platform to the wider climate transparency community, basically. And just to show that the highlighted green box of the news, events, and opportunities, they're basically edited through certain buttons on your dashboard. But Alejandro will go more into detail with that. And just one more slide on the, if we, since we had one agency focal point here in the webinar as well. Yes, so the agency focal point basically has the right to edit the agency page, and also has the different elements of news, events, opportunities, etc. Yeah, but enough from my side. I think it's time to go into the actual meat of the webinar, and I hand over to Alejandro, who will show you and navigate you through the platform and show you how to update all these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. And welcome, everyone, and thank you for being available today for this hands-on session. We're going to show all of these different content that Susanna was mentioning, and we thought that the best way of showing this is to actually go to the platform and fill in some of this data. So this said, let me share my screen, and we're going to go to the climate transparency platform. All right. Well, here we are. Here we have the climate transparency platform. First off, because I was seeing in the Mentimeter, there were some people that are registered, not registered, and people who we actually have many different kinds of user roles today from also different networks, which is great. For those of you who haven't registered, I'm going to show very quickly how to do so. You would click on register, and here is where you have all the very typical information when you create a new account. It's first name and last name, gender, email address. The username is created automatically. So for example, if I put my name and my last name, Regatero, the username is here automatically created. And this is done automatically for ease of use for your side and also on our side, in order to like find the users and be able to send the right information to all of you. Here, there's the password. You can create your password and change it if you have forgotten it, as well as the country. It's important to put on the country and the transparency network. So actually, we have people from many networks today, from MENA, Francophone and Anglophone Africa, Eurasia, etc. So you actually just have to choose the transparency network that you are from. And if you are not sure whether you are part of a transparency network, there is no strict set of rules of what constitutes whether you are or not a member of Transparency Network. I think the rule of thumb is, if you are all here in today's webinar, if you have been following the activities, the network coordinators, we have several here today: Sheila, Slajana, Nailia, etc. If you are following all of these activities, all of these webinars, I would qualify you as network users. And this is important because when you go to selecting the user profile, I understand, and it's normal that some of you will not have it clear. I mean, it's easy to figure out whether you are an agency focal point or a country nominated country focal point or a project manager, because that's a role. But we have these other two user roles that don't have editing rights per se, but you can still access all the contents of the platform. You can still participate in the forums. You can still access all the relevant information. But there are slight difference, right? Whether you are a transparency network users or you are other users. I would say for all of you that are here, you're most likely transparency network users, if you are not also some other user role, which, by the way, you can be several. Some things that you have to keep in mind is, if you are a user profile, if you are a content editor, so that's agency, country focal point, or project focal point. When you create your account, it's not created automatically. This means that we need to approve the request first. We talk with the agencies or with the network coordinators just to clarify, okay, you are the focal point for a specific country or a specific civic project, etc. And then we clear your account. Then you get an email telling you that you have been approved and you can access the platform. Another important thing that I want to mention is, actually, if you, I've seen that there's several of you who are Civit project managers here. And when you register, if you click on project focal point, you can see that it asks you for an organization, but it doesn't ask you what project are you a manager of? What you have to do in this case is write to us or write to one of the network coordinators or your agencies. Hello, my name is X, and I am a project focal point for CBET Iswatini, for example. And then we already see that you are a registered user, and we will indicate that you are the project manager for CBT Swatini, and then you will be able to edit all the pages. But if you have any questions of the with the user profiles, or if you think that if you're not getting a notification, or if you cannot access the platform or any other reason, please do let us know, and we will be happy to help you. This said, we're going to start with the exercises. And for this, we have just selected a random country to go through the exercises. As I said, the best way to learn is to do it step by step. So that's what we're going to do today. And we chose South Africa purely randomly, not to point any fingers or anything. So it is just to have a country to choose. Here we have the different maps that we have explained in other webinars. And if we click on South Africa, we're going to start in the country profile. For those of you who are seeing this for the first time, this can be your first view at what a country profile has, and what is what you can see. And it has a collection of relevant news and events that we're going to populate today. This is a space for the country focal points to populate with upcoming events or calls for consultants that may be necessary. Think that there's going to be users from many different parts of the world, from different agencies coming here, so anything that can be of use, for example, if you have posted a call for consultants, it will be very useful to have here. Or an upcoming event, for example, in the Africa Climate Week that just passed, or at COP. So this is the space where we can feature those events. It also has a collection of national focal points that you can contact, especially the ones, the focal points that are public domain, the UNFCCC and Jeff focal points. We have the contact information here, and we also have some thematic focal points in each country that have nominated to work with the CBGSP project. So even though the email is not appearing here, if you need to contact them for work and for collaboration, you are more than welcome to let us know or let the network coordinators, and we will put you in contact. I don't know if any one of you has noticed yet, but I mentioned that we have Jeff focal points, but there is no Jeff focal point here. This is on purpose, and this is because I have deleted it before, because it's going to be one of the things that we're going to add. I'm going to show you how to add or how to edit national focal points, because we know that these focal points can change. The next window that we have is the transparency information, and this is where we have some of the key dates, like the ratification of UNFCCC and the Kyoto Protocols, Paris Agreement. And then we have a collection with links to all the different relevant transparency information, so that you can access everything in one page. Instead of having to go to different registries, you can have all relevant documents here. And with a single click, it will take you to the UNFCCC registry or to a Jeff website, etc. Similar here with the national documents such as NDC, NAP, and LTLETs. Then we have here a collection of projects that are registered within the platform, and that are either active or completed or under preparation. And lastly, we have the self-assessment, which is a legacy tool from the previous CIVIT Global Coordination Platform, and is currently actually under review. We are revising the methodology. So once the methodology is ready, we're going to share with all of you, and we're going to set up a notification and a call so that you can do another self-assessment if you want, and assess the different needs that you may have for different in different areas regarding transparency. So this is what the country profile looks like. And for those of you who are country focal points, you are going to be tasked with as Susanne has mentioned, editing all the different areas in here. I'm gonna log in, so I'm gonna show you directly what you have to do to edit these pages. First, this is what that you can see right now is my dashboard. This is where I have myself all the different areas that I can edit. It's quite crowded, as you can see, because I'm a member of the administration team. But for all of you who are either project managers or country focal points, you will still get some of these buttons. For example, you will all get your content of your profile, as well as CBIT project manager if you're a manager, or manage countries. You also have access to manage news, manage events, so you can edit or create news and events, opportunities if you need to upload a call for consultants, and knowledge center. Most of you will have these buttons. If you are a network user or other user, you will not have this kind of editing rights, but you can still access the same areas, and you can still go to the communities of practice and participate in the forums, access all the documents, all the countries, etc. Um, the 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 dashboard is what I use and what we have developed so that you have all the editing in one single space. I know that we can access different parts of the platform in many ways. I can access South Africa's country profile by clicking on countries and typing South Africa, or I can just go to any of the maps and go for the country profile. But you can also do this through the dashboard. This is what is going to collect all the different things that you change or that you edit. For example, if you click on Manage News, you will have an overview of all the news that you have uploaded to the platform so that you are always in control and you can always edit them or delete them if they're no longer necessary. So now we're going to go to Manage Countries and go to the South Africa profile. Here we go. We click Apply. And we see this. First, you could see that I had a big list. That's also because I'm an administrator, but for those of you that are country focal points, you will only see the country that you are a focal point of. So it will be very easy for you to just see the country, and you can access the country page or directly access edit. We're going to go ahead and click on edit, and we're going to see the other side of the country profile. So we have seen the front end before, and now what we can see is the back end, where this is where we edit all the different information that can be edited within this country profile. We have the country details, transparency information, the national climate documents, the self-assessment, other relevant climate documents, which are other documents that don't necessarily have to be submitted to UNFCCC, but for example, a national or sectoral level transparency policy, and the different collection of focal points. Here we have the flag, the network that South Africa is a part of, as well as the different ratification dates and the region. One little note for all of you who will be editing this, you don't need to do anything with latitude and longitude. This is just something that we created in order to have the maps prepared, but you don't have to add the actual latitude and longitude. This is not a requirement. We're going to go to transparency information because, as I said, I have deleted already some parts of the South African profile, and I want to show you how to upload them again. Here, when you click on transparency information, you see all the different type of reports. The first thing that you see here would be the type of report, and associated in this case is an NIR, and the associated NIRs with a link and a date. The first one was in 2003, and then there was a second one in 2011. So we go ahead and we upload another one with the link and the year. You can see that there's a drop-down menu with all the different types of reports that you can add in this section. This is be it NIR, but also NCs, BURs, BTRs, adaptation communications, etc. In this case is NIR. So once you are in this page, you can do two things. Either you want to add another NIR or another BUR national communications, or you want to add something completely new. Say that there is no, I believe there are no TARs. So I would go if I have to upload the first one and there is no other yet. I would go here, click on TAR, and again link and year as respective. If I made a mistake and I don't want to add a TAR, as simple as clicking the three dots and remove. So we can see now it's removed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add one national communications. We can see that there are two national communications uploaded, but we are missing the latest national communication, I believe in 2018, that I deleted previously. So what we would do is within national communications, we see the two reports, and I will click on add report, adding the new link and the year. The link, I have it here. I will copy paste it. And we try to get these links from the UNFCCC registry. I have it here, for example, in the third national communication. So what I did is taking this link and post it here. The year was 2018 and it's ready to go. Now, if I'm done making changes, I would just go down, make sure that published, this box is ticked because otherwise it will not be visible. In most cases, it's already ticked, but when you create something new, when you create a new call for consultants, events, news, etc., in the beginning, it's not clicked. So this is just a mental check that I do myself. Before I click save, I need to make sure that it's published. So if these are all the changes that we want to do, I will click save, and that's it. However, I still have more changes to do in other sections, so I don't need to save for now. I can go and navigate any of these areas that I'm editing, as long as when I'm done editing, I click save. If now I go to national focal points, for example, and change something, but then I lose track and go to opportunities, I will lose my progress. As long as we are within this edit country profile function, I can still edit, no problem, but then before I get out, I need to save. So we're going to go to the national climate documents, and we can see that this is a very similar window to before, to the transparency information. The only difference is that instead of having NCs, BURs, BTRs, here we have LTLEDs, NAPs, and NDCs. So very similarly, I have here the NDC, intended NDC 2016, and I want to add the first NDC updated in September 21. So I have this link, and I'm going to copy paste, go back here, and I'm going to add another report. The link here, and we said that the year was 2021. 2021. Here you go. We see here that we have NAPs and LTLEDs. They're already there. I don't want to update so far, but at least now we have the latest NDC. Another thing that we can do, and this is something that by standard, we have not added to the climate transparency platform, but you can do it. If you think of any other sectoral level documents or national level documents that are not UNFCCC documents, but you still think they are relevant, you're more than welcome to put them here. Anything that is of interest and also, of course, relevant to climate transparency can be added here. It's as simple as adding documents as in the other sections. And in this case, you do have to put a title, a link, and a year. We have done a quick search and found a National Climate Change Response White Paper. We're going to use this as an example now and add this paper now, but of course, after the webinar, if we don't want it to be here, or if the South African focal points don't want to promote this document, we can delete it. It's no problem. So we would go here. I took the link already, and the year was 2014. The title of it was National Climate Change Response. All right, so I have this here. It's already registered, not saved yet, because I want to do one last change. I want to go to the national focal points, and as I mentioned, I am missing a Jeff focal point. Normally, in all countries, we will have Jeff focal points and UNFCCC focal points, as well as the nominated thematic focal points that work with the CBGSP project. We are missing one Jeff focal point here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on national focal points, and I'm going to put the name, Miss Shakira Parker, and the contact information. We don't have a picture in this case, but if you are the person or if you know the person and want to upload a picture, you're more than welcome to do so. Last, before I save, I want to indicate that this is a Jeff focal point. All right, so now I have done changes in several sections: transparency information, national climate documents, other relevant climate documents, and national focal points. I'm done with all the changes that I wanted to do for the South Africa country page. So I check that it's published and I click on save. So once you click on save, it's going to automatically get you to this page again or to the South Africa page. In this case, we're going to click on the South Africa page and we're going to see all the changes. First thing we can see already is that the number of national communications we had has changed, and the latest one is the one I updated in 2018. So at least it will show you the first at a glance documents, and it will update whenever you update one of the documents. If we go to national focal points, we can also see that Miss Shakira Parker has been added as a Jeff focal point, and that the country transparency information has also been updated. Here we have the latest NC to the link that I indicated, and we have the latest updated NDC in 2021. We have a new box, as I mentioned, with the other relevant climate documents and the national climate change response. So it's as simple as that. Now we're going to go, because I saw that there's many of you that are project managers. We're going to go to the CBIT project in South Africa. I believe is this link. This page, for those of you who are seeing it for the first time, is quite similar to the country page. It just has specific project-related information. Here we have the focal point information. Sandra is the project manager of CBIT South Africa. If you know, for example, in some cases the focal point is no longer working, or the focal point has changed. If you know of this and see that it's not updated in the platform, please let us know. Contact us or contact your network coordinators and we will make the change. We also have a link to the Jeff website, as well as information on the implementing and executive agencies. We have a series of project indicators that are also taken from the project document, and a compilation of the progress, a status of progress, outputs, and activities that as well we take from both the project, the project documents and the internal reporting that is done regularly depending on the agency. We're going to look into how to edit and how to add indicators, how to edit the percentage of implementation, as well as how to add news events and documents. So we can, if I am the project manager of CBIT South Africa, I will have this option to edit the project and I can directly click here. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, the dashboard is the center of operations. So I would click on CBIT Project Management, find South Africa, and we can go directly to the edit button. Here we have all the different details, the country, the start date of the project, information on the transparency network, the agencies that are working, the focal points. This is something that only administrators and network coordinators can see, the focal points. And this is the way that we have then to assign each of you as project manager of a specific project. We also have the region here. Everything is updated. So we're going to go ahead, and I previously deleted one project indicator that I want to add now, just to show you how it's done. We have here the title or the name of the indicator, the target, the baseline, the current value, and the source of verification. And this is consistent with the reporting, the reporting and the structure of Jeff project documents. So it will be relevant to most of you. We're gonna go down because we want to add one project indicator. I have here in another screen the specific indicator from the project document. In this case is the number of training programs on theory and practice of mitigation topics. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this here. The target by the end of the project is at least 4 national institutions. The baseline currently is 0 and the current value is 0. And source of verification is a list of MRB and transparency experts in the DEA website. So once I'm done with this, again, if I don't have any more changes to do, I check published and click save. Otherwise, I go to another area that I want to edit. For example, I want to go to project implementation. We have seen before from the project page that some activities are already done. By the way, before we get to that, this is how you can see um, how you input specific outcomes, outputs. So what we do when we are creating a new project or we are editing a project in the platform is we look into the project document, we look into the activities, and we most likely copy paste all the activities and outputs. And one thing that we can do, every agency works a little bit different. Some agencies report progress per activity, some agencies report progress per output. So if we report progress of activity, we just choose here activity, and then in all the activities that we create, it will show us the progress. We have here some 80%, 100%. I don't have the latest reporting with me right now, so this is just purely for us to test the difference. We're gonna go to the last activities. For example, this 2.3.4, now it's a 0.4 at 0%, and I'm going to put it at 100%, for example. Later we can change it. I'm going to just change this one so that you can see. Below here, you can see add activity, add output, add outcome. So it's kind of self-explanatory. After these changes, I want to add a project document because I have seen that I only have the project information form and I would like to put the CEO endorsement document. So the actual project document that's in the Jeff website. I just have to go to add project document, put the title. In this case, I have it here, is South Africa's CIVIT CEO endorsement document. Put a brief summary of the document, and this is important to just add a bit of extra context of what users are about to read. Otherwise, it's easy to get lost. As well as the language. This is in English. And we have the option to add a file, add and upload a file. In this case, I'm going to go here. I have all my different documents around here. So you're going to see a bit of the mess. Gonna go to South Africa, and here I have the South Africa CEO endorsement document. Once I add it, it's automatically uploaded, and then I can be done with the changes. Save. All right. Now I'm going to go to the project page just so that you can see some of the changes. You can see, for example, that the latest indicator was added. This is how it would look. And that the project implementation has also changed. If we go to the last activity, that's the one I changed. Now it appears at 100%. I will change it after the webinar so that we go back to the original value. We can also see that now the CEO endorsement document can be found. If we click, it directly takes us to the public document. There are two things that I haven't gone to yet, which is the news and events, right? I'm gonna do this now. And you're going to see, because this is a bit of a different process. Here you have in the back end the project indicators, project implementation, but also project events and project news. I have to give a disclaimer. This is something that we are fixing right now, but there is also a space for project opportunities that is going to appear here as soon as tomorrow, because these pages are what are going to allow you to add an existing event or existing news on opportunity, which means that if you want to plan an event or if you want to upload an event for CIVIT South Africa in the project page, you cannot create the event from here. You have to go to your dashboard, click on Manage Event, then create an event, and then add it to the project page. We're going to do this now. We're going to do two things. We're going to start by going to the South Africa profile. Again, and we're going to add an existing event. Here we have project events, and we see that we have no events that are currently showcased in the CBIT South Africa page. I'm going to add an existing event. I'm going to add this same event that we're having right now. We have it here, the virtual webinar on editing and updating content in the platform for Africa, Central Asia, and the Caucasus. We put it here. And if we want to add another one, say that for whatever reason, this is another event that we want to put. We just have to know the title, click the title, and it's an autocomplete function. Is going to take us to all the events that have um, the words that we're putting. So for example, this one, purely random. If I save my documents, then we're going to see the results, and we're going to see how it appears. It appears directly here. Virtual webinar on editing and updating content in the climate transparency platform. Then we're going to have a link. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can go to the dashboard. We can create an event from scratch. We would have to manage events and add an event. And here we have all the different information that we have to input. I have an event here that we found previously, for example, the Durban Forum Deep Dive. And we could just copy paste it into the platform. Here we have the title. We have a bit of background that we just copy paste. If we have an image, we are more than welcome to upload it. Let's say that is today at 4 until today at 6 or at 7, for example. Time zone, what time zone do we want to put? Dar es Salaam, for example. And that one, this is important. If we want this to appear in the South Africa country page, we have to choose South. I don't know why I changed my time zone right now, but for example, we go back to Dar es Salaam or any Accra here. We click on country, South Africa. If I want this to appear in multiple country pages, I just have to press Control click, and we have here Somalia, South Sudan, any country we want. Same with the transparency network. We have to choose one, and in this case, we have several networks at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and also click on Central Asia, Eurasia, Francophone, and MENA. Clicking on the transparency network means that this event will also be automatically published in the network page. So this is just for you to know why it's important to select a country and select the transparency network. Event type, let's say that this is a training and that happens online. So I'm gonna put virtual here, and it's happening in MS Teams. The event is about transparency and sector, any sector, say, for example, that is about biodiversity and cities. You can choose. We click on featured. This is important. If we want it to appear in the home page and in the country pages, we need to click featured. Here we have these multiple regions, Africa and Asia mostly. And the event will be in English. If we have any files, photos, recordings, etc., this is where we click update and say, for example, that this is going to be a CBIT GSP event or a UNFCCC, can be multiple. Clicking on the agency, similarly, will make it appear automatically on the agency page. All right, so we have already filled in all the data that we need. We're going to remember to click published and save. And we have it here, 2023 Durban Forum. Now we can see the event because we have featured it. We can go to the homepage and we can click through the different events until we find it here, featured, the Durban Forum. Or similarly, we can go to the agency profile of UNFCCC and see the event here, the Durban Forum. Similarly, in the South Africa country profile, we will find it. If we go to the country profile, and it's here. Now, we want to do the same in the Civit project, but in the Civit project, they don't update automatically. What we have to do is go to the project, click on Edit as a project manager, and in this area, Project Events, you can actually delete this one, and 2023 Durban. There you go. So we click Save, and now we can see the Durban Forum also in the Civit South Africa project page. The process is very similar for Civit projects, also for news and for calls for consultants. Same as in the project page, in the country pages, sorry. If we quickly go to the dashboard, if we click on the dashboard, we can try to create a piece of news. For example, we have one upcoming news over here. I'm just going to copy paste, and it's a piece of news about new common reporting tools that are introduced by the UNFCCC. We have title here. We have all the content that we want to edit, so we include it in the description. And let's say that the news is from today, so we click on the date. We don't have an image right now, but if we have, we can put it here. And the country, South Africa, and as many countries you want to add. Same as with the Transparency Network. Anglophone Africa, Asia, Central Asia and Caucasus, Eurasia, Francophone, and MENA. I want to feature this in the network pages, in the country pages, etc. And this is a press release, for example. Again, is regarding transparency and is a cross-cutting sector or whatever is relevant. The event is in English, the piece of news is in English, is relevant to the African region, and it's a UNFCCC piece of news. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click UNFCCC here. Once we have prepared all the data, I make sure that I have clicked published and save. And we will be able to see this again in the country profile. For example, South Africa. Here it is, the new piece of news. We can see this in news and events. We can see this in the home page. We can see this in the South Africa page. We can see this in the Civit project page if we want to, so no one will miss it. In this case, we go back to the Civit page. We edit the project, and in project news, we just click on the UNFCCC is the title. We start putting the title, UNFCCC introduces new common. There you go. We found it, we click save, and it appears here already in the project page. The same process is happening for the opportunities. Here we have all the different, all the list of opportunities that have been posted so far, calls for consultants. So either whether I'm a country focal point or a project manager, you can both do it. If I need to upload a call for consultants, I would just go to manage opportunities and add an opportunity. We have another example that we're going to do. Here is the text that I'm going to copy paste to a real Civit GSP opportunity that we have currently posted. So again, we go with the title, the relevant information that we want to present. Application deadline, this is important. Let's say that the application deadline is at the end of the week. And again, country South Africa, this is, you put the countries where you want this to appear as well. Anglophone Africa, Central Asia, Eurasia, Francophone, etc. I feature it. I don't have an image right now. I could have a document if I had a TOR, for example. And the ad is in English. Once I am done, by the way, the agency is CBGSP. So I publish it, don't forget, and click save. And this is done. This appears in opportunities. It's here, but it also appears on the South Africa country page. It appears in the. We can choose it to appear in the CBIT page, etc. This is a general overview of how all of these editing functions work. These things that I have shown today are mostly what you're going to have to deal with. Don't worry, because the responsibility is not solely on you. Of course, as Susanna has mentioned, the concept of shared responsibility is crucial for the climate transparency platform, and we're all going to be together working on keeping all the content updated. Um, if you have any other areas that you want to edit, or you have any problem editing, you're more than welcome to let us know. You're more than welcome to contact us. We have even created here in the communities of practice, we have created a space, climate transparency platform guidelines, so that we can have a forum for general questions or problems or issues. I'm going to be monitoring this forum, so if you have any problems, if you have any issues or something that you have trouble navigating, feel free to drop a comment here, and we will respond with a step-to-step troubleshooting the issue, or giving you guidance on how to solve it. I think this has been many of or most of the exercises and the practical information that I wanted to give you. So again, I want to thank you all for your time, and open the space for questions now. I know that I've been speaking for a long time. So again, thank you all. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and please raise your hand or unmute yourself if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, for the very detailed guidance. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. It needs some practice, but it's actually very straightforward. It seems like a lot at the moment, but once you've done it once, it gets more easy to do all the updates regularly. Yes, there's one question by Prakash about the TORs and opportunities, if they will stay online after the consultants have been recruited. Yes, so actually at the moment we have a kind of basically a list of all opportunities that will stay there, of past opportunities, but the kind of the highlighted will the featured events, the featured opportunity that Alejandro just showed, that would disappear automatically once the basically the opening has closed. But we will keep it in the open opportunities as a list of past of all the opportunities that have been posted in the platform basically. But it will then show as closed. I hope that clarifies. If you want to remove it, you're also, of course, very free to delete it again if you do not wish to keep it there. So then you can just go in and delete the opportunity again if it's not convenient for you to keep it there. Yes, I hope that clarified. Yes. Are there any other questions? Yes, you're welcome, Prakash. We know it's a lot of information. Oh yeah. Milward, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for the information and for the platform. It's quite useful. But would this be able to work as an official transparency platform for the Paris Agreement? Because I think under the various CBIT projects, we are developing our own online transparency portals. So would that also act as an official transparency portal that maybe under the Paris Agreement, under the BTR obligations or reporting obligations, this will also be recognized as an official platform that once we put that information, people can also have access, and we can also refer to that platform as well. Thank you. That's my question.
Yes, thank you, Wilbert. That's a very relevant question, and we also had the same question in the previous webinar with Asia Pacific. So the CPG, like the Climate Transparency Platform, is basically recognized. It's Jeff supported, and we also work with all the agencies. But of course, we cannot substitute the UNFCCC page and the Jeff pages. So your reporting obligations, for instance, to the UNFCCC of submitting a BTR will not be substituted by uploading it here. So you still have to submit it to the UNFCCC. This is not this we cannot substitute, but it's still very useful as a kind of centralized place to have all information from your country collected into one place. And of course, yeah, we're also aware that many of you are developing national platforms, and this we also don't want to substitute. We rather see it as a global central repository of transparency information. But it is a Jeff endorsed platform, so it's an official platform, and you can feel free to reference it in different instances. But yeah, we cannot substitute the UNFCCC, so this is still there. But we think, for instance, if you have the country profile and have all your reports collected there, all your projects that are going on in your country, we think it's a much more user friendly and yeah, much more centralized view of seeing of what is happening in each of the countries. So it's also for the different users, the different support providers can see what projects are happening in the countries, how many reports have they submitted. So it's really to give the centralized, global overview of things. But it's a very relevant question, and we also hope that the platform will be used widely by not just project focal points, country focal points, but also by the different support providers, the different Jeff implementing agencies, and so on, to really become this one go-to place for climate transparency. So that's what we are working on, and try to get everyone on board. Yes, I hope it clarifies a bit.
Thank you, Susanna. I see another question from Prakash. Great to see lots of projects under the platform. Can the projects be clustered under a filter for GHG mitigation adaptation related projects? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you how the project page looks right now. We can see all the collection of projects here, and as you can see, we have quite many active between civil projects and enabling activities. Transparency projects right now, there's not so many, but as the platform grows and as the platform continues engaging with other support providers, which they are, we have multiple support providers, whether they are Jeff or non-Jeff implementing agencies. As all of these agencies start putting um, their project pipelines, we know that there will be many more projects and many more useful information here. This platform is not meant to be a CBIT exclusive platform. It's just meant to englobe all different projects within the transparency community. So it's going to be wider than the CBIT GSP project. And we can see here, going back to your question, the filter function. So we can take all the projects and we can filter them through different filters: geographical, country, region, type of project, etc. Actually, you have made a very good point there, because we don't have a thematic filter here. What we can do is enter a keyword, for example, adaptation, and it will show us all the projects that have adaptation in their title. So this is at least a second best, to say like that, way to filter it. But I have to say it's actually a very good suggestion, and we will look into this, into incorporating this kind of filter, because I know that Jeff, for example, has this kind of filter. And like Susanna mentioned, this is always going to be a work in progress. This platform is never ending, and we're always looking at your feedback. So well taken, and we will look into incorporating such a filter.
Yes, thank you so much for your question. And it's, yeah, as Alejandro said, we really welcome all suggestions and feedback. If you are using the platform, you of course will see different things. And we've worked with this platform for many months now, so we also getting blind to issues there. And if something you think is missing, please always shoot us an email or message, because yeah, we want to make the platform as useful as possible for each and every one of us. So any suggestions are really welcome, and we will further develop with our developers the platform. So that's really good. Thank you for that. Yes, we're already a bit over time, but if there's one last question maybe from the participants. Doesn't seem like this. Okay, so we have one last Mentimeter slide, but before that, I think we can maybe make a nice picture so we can all see each other and not just have the names. So maybe we can, yeah, do a family picture, and we'll kindly ask you to turn on your camera so we have some pictures. Yes, thank you so much, Anka, Sani, Muwat. It's good to see faces behind behind the names. Thank you really so much for joining us, and also yeah, for staying a bit over time. We will take some pictures. Yes, well, please smile. Just a second. Okay, I can see where have you done some pictures. Yes, okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Really good to see you. And then just as a very last session. Oh, there's one last question, sorry, in the chat. Will the focal points have to be people working within the government who will be responsible for monitoring the project? On the UNDP side, for example, what role will be chosen? Yes, that's a very good question. For the project focal point, it does not necessarily have to be someone from the government. I think it's for the country and for the project to decide on who acts as a project focal point and who will update the page from the project side. So it doesn't have to be necessarily someone from the government. It can also be a consultant who's really hands-on into the project and has time to update the page. We don't limit the project focal point role to just government stuff. I think it's a very relevant question. So that's really because it's different also from project to project, from country to country, and I know that UNDP does it differently than UNEP, for instance. So it's really your prerogative to decide on who becomes the project focal point for projects.
If I can add, Susanna, we also have an upcoming webinar in a few weeks that we're going to focus with agencies, and we're going to discuss this exact topic. But one of the things that we're going to implement is in the country pages where we have all the different focal points. We're also going to add, for example, a UNDP focal point. Wherever there's such a need, we can also make space for that, because especially in the case of UNDP, we know that the country teams do work very closely and monitor the project, but not always government representatives. And we want to also open the space for them, right? Of course.
Thanks so much. Yes, and there was also a question if we share the recording. We have the event actually on the Climate Transparency platform, so we will share all the recording and the presentations there. And as soon as we are ready with the user guide that we develop for as a user manual with a step-by-step guidance on how to update all these things, so you will also have it in written form. We will also publish it on the website, so you have all information there. And of course, if there's still some unclarities, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. So yeah, let me just go to the Mentimeter again. I will just post the same link again, just for 2 last questions. Let me share my screen again. Just a second. It's coming. Yes, just like to get some feedback on how you like the webinar. We always seek to improve our webinars. So, it's difficult to explain all these things, and some things can be more dry and boring than other things, but your feedback is very welcome, and we try to improve to the extent possible, of course. So thank you so much for your feedback. That is highly appreciated, and thanks for staying on and joining us today. And then as the last question, we have the opportunity to provide some comments related to the platform. So I see already 2 comments here. I hope it covers the support needed to implement the CBIT and have shared experience sessions or facilitations that we can learn from other countries. That's a very good point. We are actually planning to have or restart a webinar series on CBIT projects to have this experience sharing between countries and projects. So that's something that's really an important aspect of the platform also to facilitate experience sharing. It will be interesting to know which countries are in progress with implementing the DEF framework to share good practices. Also really good. You also you can see, for instance, one of the menus and maps on the homepage, you can see the projects, the BDR projects that are currently going on in countries. So you also can have a overview. We know many countries are still starting the process of applying for funding, but of course there will be lots of lessons to be learned and shared from BTR in the EDF implementation. And yes, the recording will be shared on the platform. We can also share the link afterwards, of course. And yes, a user guide will also be ready very soon. We are finalizing as we speak, basically. And also, if you have comments on the user guides, we will also like to receive this because it will likely be a document that will improve over time. If you think there are still some things that are unclear, we will try to improve it. With regards to the database of experts, yeah, that's also a very good question. So that's basically a legacy from the global support program, where we had where there was a roster of experts, and we've integrated it the same roster of experts in the climate transparency platform now. And we still need to discuss on how we exactly handle these experts, but it's basically a database for countries and projects to see if there are any experts out there that, I don't know, work on a specific area of, I don't know, a FULU or specific technical area. So it shall be like a go-to place and see if there are experts out there that can help with certain elements of your project. So this is also be concurrently updated. If you have any experts that want to be included, please feel free to share them with us, share their CV so we can add them going forward. Yes, thank you so much for all your feedback and comments. You can also still access it afterwards, and you can also, of course, still think if there's more to be improved. But we highly welcome all your feedback, and thank you so much for staying with us and staying through the webinar. You know, it's quite difficult and not to digest, but we highly appreciate it, and we really look forward to working with you going forward and go on this journey together with you. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day. We will be in touch. Thanks a lot.